Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today and welcome to this educational presentation of introducing our new masterclass. Now this is going to be the last time you will have an opportunity to join this particular series of masterclasses, so we're going to present this one last presentation to give you one last chance, and it's going to be really important. We feel that it'll help traders tremendously because I'll go into detail and show you just exactly how to do that. For example, if you've ever wondered how to take advantage of trades like this and markets like this, we'll show you ways in which to enter and different aspects of how to trade the market here. So welcome once again. My name is Primo, president and founder of Specialist Trading, and we came up with this idea, myself and Pro Trader Strategies, so that we could really educate you. We know a lot of traders still have difficulty, even if you're not a member of our courses, you have difficulty with trading, so we specifically designed this to fine-tune specific areas of your trading plan. Regardless if you have one of our strategies or not, regardless if you've taken our colleges or courses, that's okay. We can still educate you so that you can be a consistent trader. If you're new to my presentations and webinars, we're all about educating you. In fact, that's our sole purpose. We're a little bit different from other presentations in the fact that we don't promise to have the most fantastic system or strategy that costs $10,000 and will generate thousands of % per month. We don't believe in that. All our purpose is, and all we provide, is sound fundamental education that I have collected in my 41 years of trading, things that I still use in my own personal trading that show high levels of consistency and that have allowed me to continue trading for over 4 decades. Hopefully they'll be able to do the same with you. So I'm going to show you exactly what is going to be offered, the curriculum in our masterclass series, our inaugural masterclass series. But before we begin, as always, we're first required to show you this, so please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using some particular techniques in our first master class series, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And please remember that all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. So as you're taking a brief moment to view our disclaimer, I would also like to take this time, if you haven't done so already, we have so many people following us, but feel free to follow us on Twitter. There's our handle right there. You may want to copy that down. I post different information on a daily basis, a lot of educational as well as updates about different signals and that our strategies have generated. So feel free to follow us on Twitter. Now, as I stated in the beginning sentences, we are different from other companies in the fact that our only goal is to teach you. We don't want to force feed you signals. We don't want to force feed you and tell you what the perfect time frame is. We don't want to tell you what the perfect market is. I know a lot of other websites and webinars you may have attended do that. They tell you exactly how to trade, exactly what to do, and we really feel that that's a recipe for a disaster. In fact, the entire industry is based off telling you exactly what to do. And if that worked so well, then why has it been estimated that upwards of 85% of all traders fail? It's because that plan really doesn't work. The only way that you can become a consistent trader, in my opinion, is to be supplied with proper education and then mentored, and then you make your own decisions. Where you decide to enter, what time frame, where you decide to exit, what your money management plan is. That's how you become consistent, okay? And so that's what we provide. That's why we're different. So our goal is not to force feed you signals, not to force feed you a method down your throat and tell you have to trade it this way. Our goal is simply to teach you how to trade with a specialist edge. Now, when this edge was taught to me some 41 years ago, this is what I believe has been able to sustain me to trade for that long. So we're doing the same thing with all the people that we have on our courses around the world in over 115 countries and in virtually every state in the United States. Now, this is a pretty good crowd today, so we're going to begin today's class, but if you have any questions, please wait till the end of today's class, okay? That way we won't have to be here for a good 3 or 4 hours by stopping for each slide to answer questions. So if you happen to have a question, please wait till the end of today's presentation, roughly in about a half an hour or so, and then I'll reserve the last portion to answer any and all of your questions, okay? The only question I will answer is the most popular, and that is this recorded? Yes, it is. So if you have to leave early, or if you can't hear or see the screen clearly, don't worry, we will send you a link to this recording. All right, so let's begin. We asked traders around the world, and these just weren't traders that are members of our courses or have taken our colleges. These are traders who are potential members, potential students, and just traders that may have, belonged to another website or purchased another strategy. But we asked them, what is the most difficult thing you find about trading? Okay, and we were pretty surprised by some of the answers we got. Some of the answers were very common, as you'll see in just a few seconds, but some were actually a little different from what we originally thought. For example, a lot of the traders said, well, trading the right strategy. Okay, let's say you're not a member of our course. Let's say you have your own strategy, and so many traders will, ping pong back and forth between strategies, between methods. They'll try something, they'll spend a good $2,000 or $3,000. It works for a little bit, then it doesn't. So then they spend $5,000 for a master system that's never supposed to fail, and it works okay, and then it fails. And then you spend another $5,000 or $10,000 on something else, and you just don't feel comfortable with the right strategy. They feel that's the most important thing and the most difficult thing about trading. A lot of traders also said money management. They said their method is okay, but they seem to be losing too much. In other words, the risk-reward ratio is not, in line, or maybe, they'll have more losses than winners, and it's just they just don't feel comfortable. They can't seem to get out of their own way because of the money management. A lot of traders also responded by saying time frames. They just do not know what time frame to trade. They may see a method or purchase a method or make one on their own, but they're so concerned with the time frame. They said, Steve, this seems to work on paper, but the minute I try it, it doesn't work well. I go to a different time frame. It works a little bit better, but I'm not sure which time frame to apply it to. So time frame was a big question amongst a lot of traders. Also, determining the trend. Many traders will purchase or write their own method, and it will be trying to pick a top or a bottom going against the trend. Others will still try to be in sync with the trend, but oftentimes they can't determine what the actual trend is, because if you look at it, everyone and their sister has a different idea of what the trend should be. So those are very common questions. But guess what? This wasn't this series you see right here in front of us. These weren't the most common questions out of all. In fact, the number one answer that students around the world said that they found the most difficult were actually entries and exits. The things that you think would be the simplest thing to do when you're in a winning trade, but most traders have very difficult time with entries and exits. And I get a lot of questions on a daily basis from traders, students and non-students alike, who want to know where's the best place to get out or where's the best place to enter. And so we discussed this with the good people at Pro Trader Strategies, and we came up with the idea, why don't we have a master class? Now, the courses and the colleges we've had in the past deal specifically with a trading method or a trading plan or a series of different strategies. Where this differs is that we're only going to focus on those issues or those pieces of the puzzle that you're having difficulty with. That's where Pro Trader Strategies and myself came up with a plan for a masterclass series, where each series takes a different topic or a different subject, and we really focus on it. Things that I may have talked about in our courses or in our colleges, maybe 10 or 15 minutes on. Here we're going to spend 4 complete weeks on really going into detail and dissecting what these difficulties are, so that let's say you have a plan already and you feel comfortable, but your entries and exits are really difficult. We're going to spend the entire 4 weeks just discussing entries and exits. So series 1, our inaugural series, which is going to be beginning in the next couple of weeks, will specifically deal and only deal with advanced entries and exits. So this, is not going to cover a full-fledged system, not going to cover a full-fledged strategy. We're not going to talk about money management or time frames. We're just going to really go into detail about how you can really fine-tune your entries and exits. In fact, a lot of people will say, well, who is this for? I mean, do I have to have a strategy or a system? This class is specifically designed for people who say, well, Steve, I already have a strategy, but I need help in fine-tuning my entries. This is perfect for you, okay? So you don't have to be a member of one of my courses or colleges. You can have your own plan already that you feel somewhat comfortable with. But if you're entering at points where you don't feel comfortable, this can really help you. Same thing with exiting as well. The course is also designed for people who say, well, Steve, I often exit too early and I don't know when to get back in. Now, how many times have you found yourself in this situation where you have a trade, you get into the trade, you make a little money right off the bat and you feel, wow, this is pretty good. And you get out, you use your exit plan, you get out, and you think, wow, that was great. I made nice money in a short amount of time, And then you see whatever you traded, the currency pair, the stock, the future, continue to skyrocket in the direction, all right? And you think, wow, why did I get out so early? I left so much money on the table. I want to get back in. But how do you get back in? Maybe your method or your strategy isn't designed to get you back in. This is perfect for that. This course is perfect for traders who exit too early and don't know where or how to get back in. This course is also designed for traders who want more trades, or if you can believe it, traders who want less trades. For example, let's say you buy this method, this system, or this trading plan, and it looks perfect on paper. You go back and you look at the system records, the statistics, the win-loss ratios, the percentage of winners, and you're thinking to yourself, my goodness, this is fantastic. And so you purchase the method, you figure out all the rules, and you sit there, and guess what? You get one trade a month. Can you trade that method? Most likely not, because you want a little bit more action in that. The same thing happens on the opposite side of the coin. Let's say you purchase this method, or you come up with this great plan, you do the numbers, you go back and look at the statistics, and you think, oh my goodness, I'll be able to retire in a year. But then once you actually start to trade it in real time, you look and you say, my goodness, I can't take all these trades. I'm trading about 20, 30 times a day. I can't do this. And in order to meet those statistical numbers and those win-loss ratios, I have to take each and every one of those trades. So a lot of traders actually want less trades. This is a great course to take for those situations. And then lastly, this course is specifically designed for traders who aren't actually even traders, they're investors. So I don't want you to think that you have to be day trading to take this course. You can be an investor who likes to just invest with your long-term portfolio or your IRA. And if you are in a nice investment and you want to add to your long-term position, how do you do that? When's the right time to get in? You don't want to, add right at the top of a nice, 2 or 3 year bull market, and then you add your positions, and so you've now bought at the top. So this is also designed for investors in any market, all right? Let's talk about the curriculum. Remember, this is a 4-week course. They're going to be live classes taught by myself to the students. We already have a good portion of the classes signed up. We just have a little bit more room left, so that's why we're giving you this last chance. After today's webinar, this course is closed. There's no more room left for anybody because we want to keep them, not large enough so that, we have too many people and we can't accommodate all the needs for all the classmates. So we want to keep them at a specific level where it's an intimate class, but at the same time, we get enough people in there. All right. So here's the curriculum in our live 4-week course. Week 1, we're going to be talking about learning how to listen to the markets. You've heard me speak about this, how important this is, and how I was taught this myself when I first started trading by my mentors 41 years ago, okay? What we're going to focus on is an emphasis on understanding trend and price analysis, because trend and price analysis, once you understand them, will help you with your entries and your exits, regardless of which style or technique. We'll go over that, different styles and techniques in that point as well. But you first have to understand trend and price analysis, and this may make all the difference with your entries and exits. So that's in live course week 1. We're going to the second class, which is week 2. We're going to talk about high probability entry points for any market and time frame. In this particular week, we're just going to be talking about entries because we know entries are so important. We're going to be talking about a proprietary technique, a couple of proprietary techniques that automatically will generate finely tuned points of entry, okay? And this is for traders in any market and in any time frame. So I don't want you to think this is just about stock trading. You could say, well, Steve, this is fine, but I trade currency pairs or I trade Bitcoin. Everything I'm going to be teaching you can be applied to any market and any time frame. So we're going to be sharing with you these high probability entry points. In week 3, we go to the class, which is probably the closest, nearest, and dearest to my heart. We're going to be talking about floor trader secrets, patterns, and indicators. This is kind of an old school week because these are the things I was taught 4 decades ago. I still use in my own personal trading. This is where we're going to focus on chart patterns and contemporary indicators. So there's nothing you really have to purchase here in terms of say, well, do I have to buy this convoluted indicator or get this special program to come? This is old school where we just share with you different chart patterns that have high probabilities for entries and exits, as well as indicators that you just simply edit a little bit, and they will tell you fine-tune your entries and exits as well. And lastly, we're going to talk about the most powerful tool we have, and that's going to be in week 4. We're going to be discussing PET-D entry and exit techniques. Now, the PET-D, you've heard me give a lot of presentations about it before. We've had different PET-D webinars and PET-D courses, but every time we talk about the PET-D, we usually talk about it, how it is in relationship to finding the trend, the short-term trend, and then confirming signals. We're going to do it a little bit differently here. We're also going to talk about how you can actually generate entry and exits based off specific patterns with the PET-D. So remember, these are all things that I've lightly touched upon in past classes, maybe spent 10 or 15 minutes on. We're going to devote weeks to all of these different things. And each class will be a minimum of an hour long. Now, my live classes I've had before, my colleges, some have gone minimum of 1 hour, some have gone up to 3 hours. So it's up to you depending on how many people we have in the class, and also the date is up to you as well. We usually start these on a Friday afternoon so that we can go over and review the week that just passed. But depending on what feels best and what works best for the class, the people involved, the students, we can change that to during the intraday, during the trading the markets. We can also change it to a weekend. We can do it prior to the market opens. It's entirely up to you. I'll accommodate any time. Just as long as we have the majority of the classmates decide on that. All right, so these are the different weeks and the different topics we're going to be discussing in those weeks. Let's talk about one specific week, which is week 2, okay? That's where we're going to be talking about high probability entry points. We're just only going to be discussing entries in week 2. Now, in order to clarify, I'm going to share with you the same secrets that my mentors taught me. And they said, Steve, if you're having difficulty with your entries, it's because you're overcomplicating things. And if you look at it, entries are actually extremely simple because there are only 2 ways to look at entries, okay? There's basically only 2 types of entries. The first one is a continuation entry. You've heard me speak about this before. Now, a continuation entry calls for some type of trend to already be in place as we look at this generic chart here. As you can see, we're in an uptrend. And with a continuation type of entry plan, you just buy all along the trend. In other words, if the trend is up, you buy as you keep going higher and higher. You're not concerned about how high you purchase because you're just concerned about not missing a nice big upward move. You see, continuation entry traders like a lot of trades, they like a lot of action, and they don't mind paying higher. And it's the same way if the trend is going down. They don't mind selling at lower prices to be able to get short or to exit because they don't mind. They want to get out or they want to get short because the trend is going to continue in their mind. So that is the first type of entry. The second is a pullback entry. All right. Now, pullback entry is still trading in sync with the trend, but you look for some type of established trend, and then usually what happens with the trend, there's a pullback or some type of counter trend where most traders think that the original trend has ended. Pullback traders view this as an opportunity to buy on a pullback somewhere down here, because according to whatever plan they have or requirements, once they're met, this is the point of where the sell-off should end and then the trend should resume. So the characteristics of this type of entry is obviously you're going to have less trades because you're waiting for price to sell off if you're in an uptrend, or if you're in a downtrend, you're waiting for a bounce in price to sell. So traders who like to trade this like to purchase at less expensive prices, and they like to sell at higher prices, okay? So there is nothing wrong with either of them. The only thing that's wrong is when you are trading the type of entry that is out of sync with your persona. So in order to resolve your entry difficulties, you must first decide which type of trader you are. You see, so many traders I've counseled in the past and mentored had difficulty with a strategy or system. I said, there's nothing wrong with the system. There's nothing wrong with the plan you're trading. It's just that you are out of sync with the entry model. You like a lot of trades, a lot of action, and whatever plan you're trading, whatever method is a pullback trade. So it doesn't offer you enough action. You want more. So I switched them over into an entry technique, and they're happy. Now they can take a lot of trades, and they're excited because they're working with the same plan, but they're now in sync with the type of entry they like. Now let's look at some high probability entry examples and see which ones feel comfortable to you. For example, Entry points designed for trading strong trending markets. Do you like to trade that way? Do you like to trade no matter if it's going straight up, you want to keep buying? Well, these proprietary entry points we're going to introduce you to in week number 2 would have been able to get you in all along the way that Netflix was going higher and higher in this weekly time frame. And the same exact proprietary tools can be used to the downside. As we see here in a weekly chart of GE, look at all the sell opportunities you could have had as the market is going lower. Remember, this is a continuation type of entry technique designed for traders who like a lot of action, who don't mind buying higher or selling lower. Now, the beauty of these techniques is that they follow the trend. I know a lot of you say, well, Steve, what happens when the trend changes? Well, as you're going up in this example of QTS, we're just generating buy signals. But once the trend changes, people say, well, am I going to keep buying all the way down? No, these proprietary techniques are designed to enter in sync with the trend. So once they have come to the conclusion that the trend has changed, now they just generate signals the opposite direction. Now, these entry points that we're going to be talking about in week 2 are also designed for trading strong pullback markets as well. Remember, pullback traders don't need as many trades. They wait for those high probability lower prices to buy or high probability higher prices to sell. For example, we look at this chart here in Pepsi, PEP. We see that we were going higher and then we started to sell off. A lot of people would say, well, Steve, we've topped out. You've got to sell this, right? We're probably going to come all the way back down. A pullback trader, according to your method, would see that this was actually a buying opportunity because we've just pulled back to a prerequisite level and the trend resumes. And this was an automatic signal generated using these proprietary techniques. Now, pullbacks can also be used to the downside. As we see here, we have a downtrend in place. Look at the sell signals that were automatically generated. And someone here would say, okay, this one worked really well. So did this one. But, Steve, we have a nice gap up opening. All the institutions are buying. There were some great earnings news on this. That's why it gapped up. You can't sell now, right? Well, it's up to you. But the market, remember, week number 2, we're going to be talking about high probability entry points because we've already learned how to listen to the market. And if you're listening to the market, there's nothing else you really need to listen to. Now let's remember, work on any market, any time frame. Here is a 4-hour chart of the euro yen. Looks like it's going back up, right? Bottomed out? Not really. The proprietary entry technique we're going to be sharing with you generated a sell signal. So it's basically telling you the trend is down. This is just a bounce before it goes lower, and it was right. Now, are these 100% right all the time? No, but they're fine-tuned to increase your odds for consistency. If you're having trouble or if you're trading the wrong style, these will help you get in tune with your consistent entries. All right, these entry points are also designed for adding to long-term positions. Remember, these are for traders who had difficulty, who are just investors. They don't want to be traders. They just want to add on to long-term positions. Well, we look at this monthly chart of Netflix going back to 2013, about 5 years ago. Now, if you had purchased at the very beginning somewhere down here, well, that's a great investment. Now, a lot of traders simply like to say, I'm going to hold this. I bought way down here when the stock was trading about 25. I mean, there's nothing left for me to do. But a lot of other investors say, listen, I've got some really nice capital in this. I can invest more and increase my odds. Why don't I buy as it going up? All right. Where do I do that, though? Well, here are some of the entry points you could have taken advantage of according to these proprietary rules we're going to be sharing with you. These entry points are also designed for traders who want either more or less entries. Remember, a lot of traders don't like to trade 100 times a day, and a lot of traders like to trade that many times a day, especially intraday traders. Here's a 15-minute chart of the E-mini. Obviously, the market is a very strong uptrend. You want to just keep buying as it's going higher. If you're a continuation trader, well, don't you think you would have had fun with all these entry points to take advantage of this upward move? That's a 15-minute chart. So that was week 2. We're going to cover a lot of this in week 2. Remember, this is an open dialogue class. You'll be able to ask me questions, converse with me, and we'll stop. We'll take our time. Class is usually an hour long, and it can go longer if we'd like. And then we also will, have a lot of interaction so that you can really fully understand these concepts. Now let's go to another week here. Let me show you what we're discussing entirely different. In week 3, we're going to be discussing, once again, things that are near and dear to my heart. These are floor trader secrets. These are things I learned on the trading floor, things that my mentors taught that specific traders used to use simply by looking at the charts. Now, we're going to be talking about secrets. Some of these things I've talked about in our courses. Some of these things I've just lightly touched upon in our colleges, but we're really going to devote a lot of time to this so that you can enhance your trading here. Now, let's say we had gotten along this, this trade here, QQQ is a daily chart at the beginning of January, and as you can see here, the market went straight up. Believe it or not, a lot of traders have difficulty with straight up markets, even though they don't happen the majority of the time. Probably only about 10 to 20% of the time will you see either a straight up or a straight down market. And that's why I think a lot of traders had difficulty, because you say, well, where do I get out? If I get out now, is it going to continue going higher? Well, one of the things we'll teach you are specific exit levels, so you can take advantage of using these in a multitude of different ways. For stop placement, to raise your stop, for actual exiting, different portions of your position. It's entirely up to you. But what happens when markets act, about the way they usually do about 70% of the time, with a stair-step type of motion, okay? This is where traders have difficulty as well. Well, I want to share with you something that my mentors taught me. They taught me this over 4 decades ago on the trading floor of the exchange, and I always remember it. And this is really something that you'll see over and over again. It's almost like magic. But what they said is, Steve, price wants to return to where it originally started. Now, if you look at that, you'll think, well, that's kind of nebulous. What exactly does that mean? Let me show you what I mean here in this chart, because remember, only 10 to 20% of the time do markets go straight up or straight down. What happens the other 80% of the time? Well, you have this kind of stair-step or backing and filling approach. So this is where this concept really comes into play. Price wants to return to where it originally started. Let me show you what I mean here. As we look at this generic chart, obviously the short-term trend is up. Let's say you got lucky enough, your system, your strategy got you long. Remember, we're not talking about trading plans in the first series. We're only going to be talking about the pieces of the puzzle that make up a trading plan. And what students have told us is the piece of the puzzle that gives them the most difficulty are entries and exits. So we're not going to go into a whole way in which what to look for, where to enter. We're not in terms of the system that you trade. We're simply going to talk about different types of entries and exits. So in this particular example here, let's say you're looking to go long, or perhaps you're even long already, and you're not sure about your actual exit point. Well, as the market is going higher, we see it sell off. And so you're thinking, well, where do I exit? Or where do I want to exit a portion of my position? I don't want to miss this nice move I had. Well, where did we start to sell off on this little sell-off here? Right here. This is where price originally started to sell off. So almost like a magnet. It's not guaranteed, but almost like a magnet, price will want to go back to where it originally started to sell off. As we see here, price went back in that direction. Okay? All right, so you could have used that for one point of exit. Now, as we see, price is starting to go back. It goes back up to that direction and then sells off again. All right? If you feel that the trend is still strong, that we haven't started a different trend, where does price want to go? Price usually wants to go to where it first started the sell-off, right back up here. And as we can see, we went back there. In fact, we went a little higher. Now, it's not guaranteed to say it's going to go right there and stop. Sometimes you'll see it happen. But all we're saying is that, like a magnet, price wants to go back to where it originally started. Sometimes it'll go just a little bit before. Sometimes it'll go past it, the way you see it right here. All right? So we go up further, and then we're met with another short-term sell-off. Where did price start to sell off? Right here. And as you can see, price goes right back there like a magnet. Okay? So you're thinking like, oh, okay, well, are we going to continue to go more? Well, nope. Price sold off again. If you still believe in this uptrend, you'd say, well, I've looked at all my system parameters. Maybe you've devised it. Maybe you purchased this method, and it's still saying that you should be long. So where's price going to go? Most likely right here to where it first started to sell off. And you see this happen over and over again. Now, this is an example to the upside. Does this work to the downside? Sure. The same concept will happen. In this example, we have a short-term downtrend. Okay? Let's say you're short this market, and then you're met with this little bounce right here. All right? If you feel strongly that you're going lower, well, where's price going to go? To originally started to bounce, which would be right there, right? And price is pulled like a magnet back in that direction. Is it going to stop there? Maybe, maybe not, but it's going to go back in that direction. Not guaranteed, but most likely there's a high level that it will. Now, we're met with another bounce. Is it time to get out of this? Well, if you feel strongly about the trade you're in, it will come back to this level where it first started. And like a magnet, it goes right back down there. We're met with another bounce, and this is where it first started. Price wants to go to where it first started. Now, does it go and just stop there? It may, but oftentimes you'll see it go and then continue to go, all right, as it did right here. And then lastly, you get another bounce. If you feel strongly that the trend is still going to the downside, where is price most likely going to go to? Where it originally started the bounce. And as you can see, price went down there again. So what my mentors taught me and what's helped me tremendously and is just one of the many concepts we're going to be sharing with you in the class is that price wants to return to where it originally started. This will help you with your exits and entries, okay? So I've just spent a half hour sharing with you just a few of the concepts and techniques that are going to be taught in detail in this 4-week course. And trust me, a year from today, you will have wished you became a member of this masterclass. We call it masterclass because we're going into detail for traders who obviously have just not started to trade last week. If you've just started to trade, we would suggest purchasing one of our full-fledged courses where we go over everything. But if you've been trading for a while, if you have some level of experience, you're just having difficulty with a specific category, this is the master class for you. Now, let's go over the curriculum one last time. Week 1, we're going to teach you how to listen to the market, an emphasis on trend, price, and trend and price analysis. Week 2, high probability entry points for any market, any direction, any time frame. Week 3, floor trader secrets. We just shared a few of them with you, how we're just going to specifically look at patterns and different indicators that are just about on any charting software platform that you can alter and edit to really help you with your entries and exits. And lastly, week 4, we're going to talk about advanced PET-D entry and exit techniques. This is our most powerful tool, but rarely used and rarely talked about for entries and exits. We'll show you exactly what we mean in our 4th and final week of this particular series. Now, we've had tons of colleges and courses before, but we've been around for almost 10 years now. I teamed up with Pro Trader Strategies about 9 years ago. And if you go to any of our websites, either my website or Pro Trader Strategies, you'll see a lot of testimonials about how people have finally turned their trading around, whether they just started trading or whether you see here from a hedge fund manager who actually took our course as well. It does not matter your level of experience. The only thing with this masterclass is you should have some type of trading plan already in place in order to take this, okay? So we're going to offer you a great attendee discount, and this will be the last one because, as I stated, we're most likely going to start the series of this masterclass in the next couple of weeks. We're going to offer the masterclass, the 4-week masterclass series. Remember, this is 4 weeks of live detailed instructions, advanced entry and advanced exit techniques, but we're also going to throw in 1 year of our new PTS Primo charting platform. I designed this with Pro Trader Strategies, where it basically is the trading educational portal you've been searching for. And why do we say that? Because everything I've learned in my over 4 decades of trading is on this portal, is on this platform. It's one click away as well. All you have to do is click on the tab of whatever technique or method we talked about for entries, for exits, and it's automatically right there. That's the beauty of this. As you can see, here are just a few examples of things that happened in this past week. Now, here was an example of CVNA. See these entry points here? These are things we're going to be teaching you in week 2. All right? We're also going to show you how you could have used this on a 4-hour chart of the Canadian dollar in this past week as well, or a 1-hour chart of the E-mini futures. These are all things we're going to be teaching you in the masterclass and in week 2 of this masterclass. So just showing you that these things, we're not just cherry picking examples. These things happened this past week or so in April. So once again, 4-week masterclass. Normally, with the detail, the information, and the live classes, and with the mentoring experience coming with someone with 41 years of actually trading this This class would cost you close to, I'd say, close to $8,000 or $10,000. The normal price range is $49.95. We're still discounting that, so you don't have to pay $49.95. We're discounting it down to $44.95. We have payment plans available, and we're throwing in 1 year of the platform for free. This is a trading educational portal. You'll get that for free. That usually costs thousands of dollars more for a year. Well, we're throwing that totally in so you can use that and help you with your entries and exits. This is a great opportunity to kick up your trading into high gear and to have someone who's been trading for 41 years as your mentor. So here's how to take advantage of this great offer, okay? Contact Pro Trader Strategies. They devised the masterclass with myself, and you can either email them or call them directly at area code 310-598-6677. This link you see at the very bottom is the link that will take you to the sign-up page. It's not a live link, but if you look on the chat box, we have just posted a live link on the chat box on the far right-hand corner, and there you'll get more information about the course, and you'll also get to sign up there if you'd like. If you personally wanted to ask me what my suggestion would be, I would say call up one of the trading consultants manning the phones right now at Pro Trader Strategies. You can ask them any question concerning price and discounts and the platform. They'd be happy to answer it with no obligation. They'd be happy to take your order. And if you wanted to figure out and devise some type of payment plan with them, they would be happy to put that together for you with a small deposit. You can still be up and running in our first class, which is set to start within the next couple of weeks, okay? So this is a great way to get your trading back on track. It's a great way to learn about entries and exits, and it's a great way to be taught by someone who uses these in his personal trading themselves. So I'm going to leave all this information up here, and I want to thank you for holding off on any questions. I see we have a few here. Let's see. Mr. Primo, I'm hearing mentor this, mentor that. Where are all the mentors? Well, when I say mentor, I think I'm talking about myself. I was mentored, if you're referring to me as a mentor, I was mentored when I was on the floor. We have special individual mentoring classes if that's what you like, but you can get that personalized mentoring as well for a less expensive price in this course, in the masterclass course. So it's up to you. But once again, for more information on that, you can contact Pro Trader Strategies. But I'm in charge of our educational department. I teach all the courses. I teach, train all the students around the world. So if you're talking about specifically being mentored with what we teach here, that's what I do. But if you, once again, it's a lot less expensive rather than an individual mentor to join our course here, and you can get the same type of attention that you would get, okay? Let's see. Oh, you're welcome. You're very much welcome. Let's see. Tracy says, the sound keeps coming and going. I'm sorry about that, Tracy. Usually, if you're having difficulty hearing, a lot of times it has to do with your internet connection. Let's see here. You're looking for a particular presentation on the 50 period on the buy-sell line. Well, that wasn't covered today. We probably will cover that a little bit in the course, but that's something that's very common we've talked about before, and I believe I talked about that on our Saturday courses as well, okay? Let's see here. Yeah, you seem to be interested in that. No, that's not what this was about. I think the specific title of this was Last Chance to Join the Masterclass Series, okay? Which doesn't, Tracy doesn't have any mention at all to the 50 period simple moving average. So that's another course. I think that's strategy 4. And once again, for different questions on actual courses, on pricing and discounts and the platform, I would contact Pro Trader Strategies. For anything in terms of actual teaching and trading, that's where you contact me, okay? People are saying, how long will the classes be? Well, once again, as I stated, that's entirely up to you. I've had classes that last maybe an hour. I've had classes that go over 3 hours, and that's fine. If we have enough questions and we have enough people wanting to cover things, that's fine with me. But remember, we don't want to keep the classes that large, because then you lose a lot of that intimacy, and it's more like a large, arena, a convention. I don't want to have a classroom like that where I have hundreds and hundreds of people, and I won't be able to get and have time to answer your questions. So if we keep them to a reasonable number, that way we can get around to really, talking with you or having some type of interaction with you so that we can specifically answer your questions. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do here. And there's just a few spots left open. So that's why this is our last and final presentation talking about the masterclass, because it'll close up after this and we'll start the classes. Okay. People are saying, what day are the classes going to be? Well, we usually in the beginning set them for a Friday so that we can cover things that may have happened in the week. A lot of students will email me and ask me, Steve, can we talk about this specific trade that happened this week? How would I have used these things you taught me about exiting on this trade? And I can go over them, and they're very topical. So we'd like to do them on Friday, and many times we'll do them on Friday at midday during the day. Sometimes we've had courses before where people weren't able to attend intraday, so we had them on a Saturday morning, which is fine. Other times we've had classes an hour before the opening. So that's fine. Whatever is best for the majority of the students is fine with me. My job is simply to educate you. And so if I can get around to pleasing everyone the most for a live class, that's fine. Oh, people are asking about my email address. Yes, once you become a student of mine, you get my personalized email address. So you'll be able to contact me with questions whenever you'd like. And that's not just something for the 4 weeks. Even after the 4 weeks, a year later, you can still email me with any questions. Once you're a student of mine, you're a student of mine for life. So that's perfectly okay, all right? Remember, this is a great, great offer. We're going to have different series along the line, but this is our inaugural series of the Masterclass where all we're doing is focusing on one specific topic that you have very much difficulty with. And the majority of traders told us that entries and exits are their real thorn in their side. That's where they have a difficulty with. So that's what we're focusing on in this first series. In the next series, which will probably be in the next 4 to 6 months, we'll talk about an entirely different category of trading. It could be money management. It could be something focused entirely different on the trading plan, but we're just going to talk about entries and exits in this one, okay? Remember, if you're interested in taking your trading to the next level, if you've had trouble with your entries and exits, if you have a plan that you feel okay with, but your entries and exits that are giving you trouble, or if you don't know where to get back in, or if you don't know where different levels for exiting, this is the course for you. Remember, a year from today, you will have wished you took this course. So this is a great offer, and they have payment plans available. So don't let the price scare you off. You can come in with a small deposit and still be in my first live class in the next couple of weeks, okay? So there's the information in front of you, Pro Trader Strategies. Remember, contact them. I would suggest calling them to put together a payment plan, and all of this comes with 1 year of our platform free. Everything is right there. If you don't have the platform, you can still use the techniques and methods I'm going to be sharing with you, but it'll be a little more cumbersome. Once you have the platform, everything is right there in front of you. It's so simple. That's why we designed it that way, okay? In closing, I want to say thank you so much. I hope you got something out of this. I hope you got some of the concepts I share with you can help you. But if you really want to get the full attention to detail, please sign up to join the masterclass, and I'd be happy to have you as one of my students. Remember, because it's closing up and we only have a few spots available. Thank you so much for attending today. I wish you the best of luck and hope to see you in class. Bye-bye.